Hey, I'm just a dude practicing. This channel is the riveting real-time tale of a dude trying to get better at gypsy jazz guitar. I upload every single guitar practice session, and I basically don't touch this thing outside of what you see here on the channel. So the overall goal is to be good enough to gig, and that means rhythm and soloing. And for the last few months, I've been exclusively trying to learn how to solo. So this is my monthly progress report for May 1st. In these progress reports, I like to go over what I'm working on, how things are going, what's improved, challenges I'm facing, and that sort of thing. So the big question is, am I better than I was a month ago? So in the last month, I've practiced about 54 hours. That's 2 hours a day. I did miss 3 days. So here's what I was working on. I was spending all of my time on book 2 of something called the Van Hamert system. And the Van Hamert system is a way to learn how to solo in jazz and gypsy jazz by this guy, Christian Van Hamert. So I was working on book 2. And the way it works, I've explained it in other progress reports, but I'll explain it here again. You have 10 chapters, and the first 7 chapters have sets of licks. So the first chapter is I think it's 4 major licks. The second chapter is 4 or 5 or 6 minor licks. You've got a bunch of chapters of 2-5-1s and some dominant licks. And the idea is to play those licks, the licks of each chapter, as a set in all 12 keys against a backing track that's at 170 BPM. So I passed the book on April 2nd. It took me 2.5 months, about 70 practice sessions, 2 hours each. It was a lot. It was a lot of work. It was harder than I thought, although I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I saw major improvements in speed and technique, and definitely major improvements in vocabulary because I had 0 vocabulary, and now I have some infinite gains. I have notes here, so I don't want to ramble too much. Honestly, it feels like I passed the book months ago. I can't believe it was only 4 weeks ago. So I started every chapter thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to play this at 170 BPM. It's just beyond me. But with a lot of metronome work, a lot of backing track work, just a ton of repetition, there you go. 70 practice sessions later, I passed. And you pass by sending videos to Christian Van Hamert, and he okays them or tells you to do them again. So now I'll go into details of the last month of April. So the first change is that I started working on book 3 of the Van Hamert system. And book 3 is 1930s Django vocabulary, which is just so cool. I mean, it just sounds so tasty. I've only had a look at chapters 1, 2, and 8, sort of jumping around. And it's just, I keep coming across licks where I think, I am going to play this over everything forever and ever. It just sounds really nice to my ears. So I started working on that. Change 2 for April is that I finally started working on soloing. So I was spending all my time on book 2, and I wasn't really concerned with applying the material to soloing yet because I just wanted to be able to physically play it. So now that I can do that, now I'm trying to apply it to music, which is a whole other level of difficulty for me. So here's the method I'm using to apply it to soloing. And this is something I got from Christian Van Hamert. I don't know if he got it from someone else, but I heard it from him. The idea is that you take a lick, you put on a backing track, and you play that lick wherever it fits, in whatever key it needs to be in. So it's basically copying and pasting. But I hope that doesn't make it sound easy because it's anything but. I knew it was going to be difficult. And the first difficulty I'm having is remembering the licks. Because I learned all of these licks in the second book as sets, right? In a very particular order over all 12 keys. So now that I'm trying to recall them individually, right? I'm trying to pluck the licks that I need or want to use from this very long set it's not easy, and a lot of the time I have to go back to the book and physically see it. And once I see it, I can play it. Right? I played all of them. I mean, probably thousands of times each. But yeah, I'm having to go and kind of visually see them before I can sort of pick them out of the set. So let's see. I say this all the time, but there's no editing on this channel. So go ahead and skip 5 seconds or 15 seconds ahead while I figure out what I want to say next. Yeah, so when I was going over the second book, I wasn't really looking to understand the licks on any sort of deep level. I wasn't picking them apart. There are notes that go into, flat 13ths and what's going on in the lick. And I would read them and just sort of forget whatever information I had seen, because, again, all I wanted to do was actually physically play them. Because I knew that it's not going to do me any good if I understand it if I can't physically play it. So I was like, okay, step 1, actually play it. So yeah, so now I got my backing tracks. I'm picking out licks. I'm playing them, trying to see where they fit. So the first issue I'm having again is remembering them. The second issue I'm having is timing. So when a lick starts a little early or a little late, like let's say it's a lick in G and it doesn't start on the beat when G starts. Maybe it starts a beat earlier or a couple of beats later. Yeah, I have to count, and you see it on the channel if you watch. I'll have to stare at the music, stare at the chords, and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then start. So that's been a bit of a challenge. It's good. I mean, it's all a challenge, but it's just kind of funny because I've never had to deal with this before. Third thing, flow. Not even a concern right now. I'm not concerned with flow. The licks sound like I'm copying and pasting. I mean, that's just going to be how it is for a long time. Yeah, so any time you see me work on improv, like I always put improv in quotes because it's very much baby steps towards learning how to improvise. Yeah, it just sounds like one sort of lick after another with very little connection between them. The other issue I'm dealing with learning how to solo, excuse me, just a lot of gaps. There's just a lot of gaps in knowledge. Like I said, I can physically play the licks in book 2, but if the music doesn't line up exactly with what I learned, I'm sort of at a loss. So there are a lot of times where I sit here and I just have to stare at the computer and try to figure out what's going on. I'll give you an example. Like I learned all these 2-5-1 licks, but in a lot of music, there are 2 5s, but there's no 1. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to disappoint anyone, but I don't know anything about music theory. So I'll sit there and go, okay, so what, do I just not play the 1? But like, what if there's, the 5 flows into the 1? Do I just cut it off? Like, is there a rule on when to end a 5 in a 2-5 without the 1? Other questions I have are, what is an altered scale? I mean, I kind of know. I know I can play them. I just don't know exactly what they are. So sometimes I'll ask questions to people in Christian Van Hammert's Discord group, and they'll say, "Oh, just play altered here," or change that to altered. And I'm still trying to figure out what all these things actually mean. I mean, I haven't even dipped into substitutions. I'll ask people, "Hey, what do I play on this song?" And they'll go, "Oh, you substitute this and that." And I go, "Give me the copy-paste version for now, because that's about as much as I can handle." I actually have a call set up with someone in the group for Friday or Saturday. I was trying to learn how to play Sweet Sue, and there are just sections where I just don't know what needs to go there. So I saw a video that he posted where he's just ripping through, and I recognize all the licks he was playing because a lot of them are from the second book. And I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, can we talk? Because I tried to play it, and I don't know what to do. I listened to yours. Sounds great. I recognize the stuff, but I don't know why you're playing stuff where you are. So got a call set up, and I'm looking forward to that, so he can hopefully help me figure these things out. All right. Man, that was long-winded. Third change, Overwhelm. So I'm working on book 3. I'm trying to work on soloing. I realized the other day that I spent so long trying to learn the triplet licks in book 2, trying to develop the speed and the picking patterns, because I didn't have any of that. I couldn't play any of it before. And I don't want to totally give it up. So I'm like, okay, I guess I need to do a little bit of triplet work, but now I'm juggling several things. Or before it was book 2, that's it. And now it's like, okay, book 2 upkeep, got to learn the new material in book 3. Got to work on not just the book 2 material, but also like very specific kind of fast stuff like the triplets and all that. Trying to figure out some basic theory. And the goal 4 weeks ago, up until 4 weeks ago, the goal was very clear. It was open up book 2 to whatever page you're working on, do that for 2 hours, then you're done, turn off the camera, go on with your day. Now I'm like, what do I need to focus on? I mean, I haven't even started rhythm. I haven't even started working on repertoire. So yeah, things are a little bit overwhelming right now. So every day I'm approaching practice with a question mark just hanging over my head. Okay, change 4. I think it's related. The 4th change I'm dealing with is I've definitely had a dip in motivation the last week or so. Part of it is the overwhelm. A lot of it's just feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. Again, things aren't very clear, and everyone else seems to know what to do when it comes to music. Like I mentioned, I look at the chords to a song and I think, well, what do I play over this? I know something, I just don't know what it is. There were a couple of days where I didn't want to practice in the last week, and that was a bummer because I haven't really had to deal with that. Luckily, my wife helped me out. She basically said, "Don't be like that. It's going well. Keep at it." More or less, she said it, in more of a wife way. Having the channel helped big time. I've come to really enjoy posting the videos, posting the practice sessions. I mean, not many people watch them, which is fine. That's not the point. But it's a nice accountability system I've got going. So yeah, I think I skipped 1 or 2 days because I didn't want to practice. But for the most part, I've been pushing through and just trying to remember that I've only been taking this seriously for 6 months, which is nothing in music terms. And when motivation fails, you just fall back onto routine. So yeah. Anyway, I don't want to bum anyone out. Another change I'm dealing with is, so I've been making video chapters on all my practice videos, and kind of had a funny realization that I'm not spending as long on things as I thought. So for example, sometimes I do a vibrato exercise where I put on a metronome and I just try to bend the string in an not exaggerated, like the way I would like to do it quickly, just as fast as I can, which is still very slow. And I was kind of under the impression that I was doing it for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. No, sometimes I do it for 5 minutes. Sometimes when I'm working on certain chapters or concepts or an improv or whatever, again, I'll kind of feel like, oh, I've been at this for like 45 minutes. But then later in the day, after I've uploaded it and I go to make the chapters, I see I did it for 4 minutes, 7 minutes. Oh wow, sometimes I see I jumped around to like 10 different things. Each one got 5-6 minutes. It's kind of odd how that works. So I've been trying to force myself to, for certain things, do like 10 minutes. Right? I started working on the chromatic lick, the famous Django, just full chromatic run all the way up. And for that, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes, or I'll check the time on the camera and try to fulfill 10 minutes. Otherwise, this happened a couple times. I thought I had done 10, 15 minutes. Only later, when I'm making the chapters, I did it for like 3.5 minutes. Anyway, that's kind of interesting to me. Another change, hand pain. hand pain. It doesn't hurt, but it's concerning. So in these fingers on my left hand, these knuckles here, it kind of feels like bruising. And in the morning, my hands are super stiff. Like normally I can do this just fine, but in the morning, I can't bend my fingers more than about this much. So I asked around, I watched some videos, and it could be early stages of tendonitis, which is a real bummer because I thought injuries like that only occurred if you practiced 8 hours a day for years. And I've been doing what? 2 hours a day for 6 months. So I didn't exactly think I was overdoing it, but yeah, I got this almost like a soreness. Basically, I can feel things that I shouldn't be able to feel. So I spent a day in rhythm the day after I kind of realized this was happening. And, I thought I'd give myself a break. And, if I play rhythm, I don't have to, I'm not doing this for 2 hours. But it wasn't very fun. And I think the next day I just sort of started going back to my regular routine. So I don't know. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. But yeah, I'm just trying to be aware of it. And I was stretching it, but then someone mentioned that stretching can actually aggravate it as well. So I don't know. Kind of is it a catch-22? Can't stretch, don't want to rest. So we'll see. But that is certainly a change and kind of bummed me out for a little bit. Another change, I posted 3 shorts on the channel. They are the last 3 chapters of book 2, which are composed solos. On the channel, they're called This Took Me a Month to Learn, number 1, number 2, number 3. I just thought it'd be nice to have something kind of like a finished product on the channel, on the YouTube channel. They're not close to perfect, but that's what I can do right now. Actually, that's what I could do 4 weeks ago. I tried to play one of them yesterday and didn't remember it. I could play the parts I did remember, which is nice, like the triplet stuff. Apparently I drilled that enough. But yeah, I have kind of forgotten how to play those solos, so I need to review them. But yes, so there are 3 shorts on the channel if you want to go and look at them. And I think the last big change is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I've been asked to, so I put up those shorts, and I had 2 people get in touch with me, asking if I want to jam or do gigs with them. And I said no, because I can't. Like, I'm working on learning how to solo, but I cannot solo right now. And I certainly can't gig. I don't have the repertoire. My rhythm sucks, I'm sure. Like I did it for 1 day in the last month. It was the first time I'd done it in a very long time. I can barely remember how to do Gypsy rhythm. Yeah, so these folks saw those shorts and were like, oh, well, that's what he can play all the time. This must be representative of, him as a musician. They didn't realize that is representative of me spending a month on, those 45-second solos. So yeah, so I said no. And I hear this advice a lot. And if you're a musician or guitarist or hoping to be a jazz guitarist, I'm sure you see it all the time too. It's play with other people. And that's great, except there's such thing as not being ready to play with other people, right? I know people like to say dive in. People like to say, well, just go and do it before you think you're ready. So what am I going to do? Let's say I go to a jam where I'm at right now. Like in my current state, right, my current level, I can't put on a backing track in the comfort of my room here on my couch and successfully play over it. Like I can't even do a full chorus without having to stop and go, what is that? Right? What do I play over that? Or making mistakes. So as much as I think there comes a point where you just need to get out and start playing with other people, and that'll lead to growth. Until you can, again, sit here with a backing track in the comfort of your own home and do it, why add a layer of complexity like going and trying to do it live with other people? Like I just don't have the material. I don't have the speed. So the bar I have for myself is I don't have to be good. I just have to be adequate at soloing, right? I just have to be able to, again, I'll know when it's time to go and start jamming with other people or doing gigs, when I can put on a backing track and play some noise that fits, right? Play some appropriate noise. But until then, I'm not just going to magically, sit down with real people and just be able to do it. So I've set a low bar, but that bar is still kind of way above where I am right now. Okay. All right, where I want to be a month from now, I'm going to keep it simple. I want to be practicing 2 hours a day. I want to be working on book 3. I want to be working on soloing, using books 1, 2, and 3. I want to hopefully be injury-free. That'd be nice. And I think the biggest thing is I want to figure out the answers to these questions I have. Again, it might sound like I'm joking, but stuff like altered, like I want to figure out when to play altered stuff and the altered stuff that I know. I want to figure out how to play over 2 5s when they don't resolve to the 1. Because that's where I'm at. I'm not exactly sure. So I kind of want to dig in. I don't think it'll be too difficult. So if possible, I'd like to square that away in the next month or 2. The biggest potential challenge that I'm going to have this month, May, is that I'm going to be leaving for close to 2 weeks, leaving home for close to 2 weeks at the end of May into the first or second week of June. So I'm not going to bring a guitar. Just because, I don't know, I'm taking it seriously, but not serious enough to bring it when I have to go. It's not exactly vacation / work trip. So I'm not going to practice for 2 weeks. Hopefully my hand will heal up. I'm going to get back, and it's going to be brutal, I know. Unfortunately, I'm going to be 2 hours away from Django in June, but I'm going to be leaving Boston the day that it starts. So I just can't extend the trip that long. So that's kind of a bummer. But anyway, that was really long. I rambled a lot. If you have any comments or questions, get in touch. I post all the comments in the community tab. So, if you want to chat or ask me something, I'll be more than happy to answer to the best of my abilities. And if you want to see other people's questions and comments, go to the community tab. That's it. Till next time, keep practicing.